What's a harmless habit that people don't realize is actually damaging in the long run? You won't believe in the last one. Not vacuuming out the dirt in their car. I lent my car to a family member and they had it for 2 years. When I got it back, I found out they didn't clean it out once. I spent 14 hours cleaning it from top to bottom and inside out, so I could see what the actual permanent damage was and how much it was going to cost me. Because they didn't vacuum out any of the dirt, it became an abrasive and chewed through the entire floor mat, ripping a big hole in it, and then it ate through the actual carpet, leaving it bare. This is significant damage that will affect the resale value of the car. 5 minutes here and there could save you thousands in repairs or lost value. They also did not replace the windshield wipers and let it wear out until it was bare flat metal on glass, leaving giant scratches across the entire windshield. I'm out $1,700 in repairs, and that's the DIY price. Clean your car. And don't lend your nice things to your not-so-nice family members. $10,000 a year is just $27.40 in miscellaneous spending per day. My coworker and her husband used to have a daily ritual of going to Starbucks every single day together before work. That's $18 a day, and oftentimes will get an afternoon pick-me-up treat individually. They cut out Starbucks cold turkey and started making coffee at home and eventually switching over to tea. That allowed them to save to take their family to Disney with a healthy spending budget for food, treats, and souvenirs. Telling yourself little lies like, I did my best when you know you didn't, or any thought that blames another person for something you did. They're so easy to feel into because they feel good, but they snowball. And soon you don't even know when you're being honest with yourself and when you're lying. The worst part is, it keeps you from having choose relationships because the other PPL figure out sooner or later that you lie to yourself, and then by extension, and they won't want to be around you anymore. Daydreaming too much. It really fucks up everything in my daily life. I can go on for hours of just daydreaming about a story I made up in my mind without even realizing it. Even when I'm doing something, like house chores or schoolworks, my mind is constantly living in the fantasy I built, rather than focusing on what's actually happening IRL. It's already normal for me to feel like the characters in the stories I made up are constantly around me. Sometimes I even find myself talking to the air as if someone is there to actually listen to me. It's so hard to stop it, especially when you've been doing it for years, without even realizing how unhealthy it is. I'm too far gone now. It feels weird to not do it anymore. Bad diet. No, the food you get for takeout is not healthy. Other than whole food plant-based, your food is 99% likely to be slowly killing you. Sitting or laying down on the couch. Sitting on the toilet scrolling for more than 5 minutes. White flour, white sugar, poor sleep quality, snoring the fucking sun in America, voting Republican in America, not confronting your family for voting Republican, any drinking of alcohol, animal protein, marriage, seriously, most are damaging. Smoking. Yes, most people understand smoking is deadly, but those who are avid smokers will defend against the scientifically medical fact that inhaling ash from highly processed tobacco is proven to cause multiple health issues for all ages. Smoking around kids, smoking near an entryway to a public place, smoking in public, smoking in your car with the window down. Emphysema, asthma, tongue, throat, esophageal, and lung cancers, small cell cancer that navigates through your respiratory and circulatory systems to implant into any or every organ in your body. Defenders of the right to smoke believe they have legal standing to light up, inhale, and exhale anywhere at any time. There is a freedom to smoke, but not a right to smoke. Simply being considerate and aware of other people around you is the first step. Nitric oxide preservative in almost all processed, prepared, pre-packaged meat. It's been proven to cause intestinal, stomach, and colon cancer. Eating lunch meat, packaged beef, chicken, turkey, pork, etc. that remains pink or red for more than 24 hours after preparation means it is loaded with nitric oxide. The rise in colorectal cancers is linked directly to this, which is why one half of Europe has banned use of nitric oxide in meat. Expecting the worst from people. I've seen this often and used to do it with some things too. The problem is that you start treating the people around you as if they're going to treat you that way, but they didn't. In other words, they feel mistreated for a fear or maybe a safety net to prepare for the bad, but they don't know that. To them, everything is good, but that's how they are viewed, to be the worst. What helped me was changing my mindset to live more in their present with such things, makes me appreciate more what I have instead of what may happen. I was always told, If you expect the worst, you can't get disappointed. And I think that's what started it. But the real sentence should be, if you expect the worst, you can't enjoy the moment and the worst will still hurt. Being unaware. By not paying attention to our thoughts, observing our thought patterns, we are more likely to be perpetuating racism, stereotypes, and hate, and generally making life and the people around us miserable. We all have that one friend who hates everything. I hate coffee, I hate football, I hate my job. But what they are doing is reinforcing negative attitudes, and that's what we get more of. Thoughts are magnetic, bringing more of the same to us again and again, like attracting the same loser dates. If someone says that you are repeating yourself, saying things over and over, don't get mad, get observant. Constantly multitasking. While it feels super productive, all the research shows multitasking actually reduces cognitive performance and increases stress hormones. Over time, it literally rewires your brain to have a shorter attention span and makes deep focus increasingly difficult to achieve. It's terrible for you. But the worst part is that people feel super productive, but it works exactly the opposite of how it feels. Not many bad habits that feel like you're killing it, when in truth they are just killing you. Very insidious problem in modern life. And then there is the question of how you can avoid it, because it seems literally baked into modern lifestyles at the survival level. Like, who can avoid multitasking? You have to be a freaking monk. Fast fashion. It isn't more accessible than a thrift shop, and it's killing the environment. A lot of clothing from Temu has been found with heavy metals and chemicals which exceed the legal limit. We're killing our earth, flooding our thrift stores with garbage, and buying clothing to get a dopamine hit that will last all but 10 minutes when the haul is done, and you're not going to wear the cheap garbage you just bought. I am disabled, and it pisses me off to see people excuse fast fashion consumption with, some people are disabled and can only afford Shane. Thrift, stores, Jesus Christ. One seemingly harmless habit that can actually be dangerous over time is holding in your pee. A lot of people do it because they're busy, stuck in traffic, working, or just don't want to get up. But regularly ignoring the urge to urinate can lead to long-term health issues, including urinary tract infections, UTIs, bladder stretching or weakening, which can affect how well it empties, kidney damage in severe cases from backflow of urine, incontinence or urgency issues later in life. It seems minor in the moment, but consistently doing this trains your body to override natural signals, and that can come back to bite you, especially as you age. Drinking alcohol every day. I know too many couples who finish a bottle of wine a day between the two of them, one glass with dinner, another during the evening, and finish the bottle just before bedtime. Not just for special occasions, but as a daily habit. I see others do the same with beer. I am approaching 50 years old, and every time I drink more than one alcoholic beverage, I feel horrible the day after, and the sleep and health stats on my Garmin watch take a huge hit. It just isn't worth it anymore. Eating too much sugar and not enough moderation of diet. Diabetes is not fun, and so many kids are getting it these days. Not just adults. After you are diabetic, you have to stab yourself 5 times a day, maybe more, with insulin needles and blood sugar checks. Your diet is basically as healthy as it gets, or else you lose vision, a foot, a hand, or something else. Your veins become worse too. It's just overall a bad experience. Please don't get to that point. Not understanding the birthday paradox. Not understanding the decreasing compounding chance of a bad outcome not happening day after day. By doing things daily that have just a small chance of going wrong, the chance of a bad outcome increases significantly. Like taking a shortcut that could end badly if you don't concentrate fully, parking so that you have to back out and potentially hit a pedestrian or a car, or not 100% following the safety rules when operating dangerous equipment. It's not that doing it a few times is dangerous, it's doing it every time. If the chance of hitting a nail in a piece of wood when using a table saw is 1 in 10,000, then the chance of that happening at least once crosses the 50% threshold after doing it 693 times. Or let's say, taking a shortcut to work, school involves going up, downhill on grass, and slipping, might mean rolling down the hill and splitting your head open on a rock. The shortcut is taken 5 days a week, slipping happens 1% of the time, hitting a rock with your head has a 1% chance of happening when slipping. So a 0.01% chance of a bad outcome when the grass is wet. Let's assume the grass is wet 150 days a year, from snow, rain, dew, or sprinklers. That means you cross the 10% chance threshold of it happening after a little under 5 years. The takeaway here is not wear a helmet when you leave the house or never do anything slightly dangerous. It's recognize the danger, and change your approach so that you fail safely when you fail. So when walking down the stairs after leg day in the gym, keep your hand that is closest to the railing free so you can grab it quickly if you slip. Doc here. Alcohol. There's a reason your body hates you the next morning. Millennia of evolution. Your body knows it's poison. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a beer just as much as the next person. But getting to the point of even mild impairment, not something to be done regularly. If you feel off the next day, you more than overdid it. A lot of people think it's fine unless you get trashed. It's harmful way before that. If you absolutely need to dissociate, use cannabis edibles. Much safer. Sparingly, of course. Doc here. Alcohol. There's a reason your body hates you the next morning. Millennia of evolution. Your body knows it's poison. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a beer just as much as the next person. But getting to the point of even mild impairment, not something to be done regularly. If you feel off the next day, you more than overdid it. A lot of people think it's fine unless you get trashed. It's harmful way before that. If you absolutely need to dissociate, use cannabis edibles. Much safer. Sparingly, of course. Dating people who are obviously not emotionally stable and being around people that don't appreciate you. You don't realize, but your brain gets really messed up from things like that. And it'll show up in ways you won't even realize and make your life so much harder. It's not worth it. I wish I hadn't done the stupid things I did as a teenager because I'd be so much more stable now, but also wish people were just nicer so I hadn't gone through all of it. Doom scrolling on their phone. Taking a shit? Better check my phone brushing my teeth? 2 minutes to scroll through Reddit walking across the street and feel the piercing gaze of people in their cars looking at you? Better pretend to text sitting at a traffic light? Time to see what's new on Instagram. Our brains weren't meant for this kind of activity. If you feel like you have problems remembering things, or you're depressed because you feel like life is flying by around you and you're just existing, or you constantly feel like you aren't good enough because of what you see people doing online, take a break from your phone. I promise your short-term and long-term mental health will improve. Take in life around you instead of looking at a 5-inch brick all day. Bored at home? Instead of scrolling on Instagram in the dark on your couch, sit outside and listen to the birds. Walk on grass. Take in the sun. Go for a walk. I promise you, you will feel better. Living a sedentary lifestyle. The human body didn't evolve to function that way. Just getting up and breaking a sweat for 30 to 45 minutes a day has massive health impacts, physical and mental. There's a reason exercise can be an effective tool to manage things like anxiety and depression in many people, in addition to the obvious physical benefits. We aren't meant to sit around under artificial light and do nothing all day, and living that way has massive negative impacts across the board, from heart disease to cognition. Only on Reddit would "sitting around all day is bad for you" catch downvotes, lol. Staying in the closet. When gay, I can't believe after 3 hours no one has said this, so I'm adding it. Being gay can come with a lot of shame, and many people delay or never come out. I understand that in 2018, many countries, culture, or religion will stop you from being able to do this. But if you are in a liberal country with the ability to live independently of family, if they will reject you, then come out. It will be much better in the end. I didn't come out to my mom until my mid-30s, and although it went badly, the relief was instant, and the lies could stop. She never fully accepted it, but that's okay. We still loved each other and I didn't wave it in her face, but I also didn't let her get away with crap. So when I was visiting my gay best friend with her and she asked what fiancé's B name was, I just barked Jim and let her stew in her own juices for a few minutes. When she cussed camp people on TV, I turned it over and walked out of the room and said, "Better?" As I went, she soon learnt that little dig wasn't gonna wash, lol. We were both feisty but stubborn. If you can, be true to who you are. You don't have to change anything else but be the real you, your authentic self. Complaining. There is no point complaining about anything. And I've found by not having people in my life who complain, it's pretty amazing. Practice it. If you find yourself wanting to complain about something, stop and think of something you're grateful for and say, or think, that instead. Or think of a small action that could improve it and do that. Absolutely life-changing. People complain all the time about everything and think they are venting, or it's helpful to their emotional state to complain and let it out. It's not. It's the exact opposite. You're actually making your life one big, unenjoyable complaint, where everything because is awful. If you stop complaining, suddenly everything improves and gets easier, especially the things you were complaining about. You can use it on simple and big things. Believe me, if it's raining and it's bothering you, the difference between someone who spends all day saying, "Ugh, it's raining," and thinking, "I wish I wasn't raining," versus someone who focuses on the positive of the day or takes a positive action, change because of it, is huge. It's truly life-changing, and it makes you a much more likable, productive, and happy person. Complaints accomplish nothing. Don't be problem-focused and oriented. Focus on what you do have and solutions. Every time you complain, you are making your life harder for yourself and setting yourself back. And nobody gives a fucks about all your little problems and wants to listen to you complain about work all the time or the weather or whatever it is. Get over it. It's really a terrible quality and blocks a lot of people's progress and well-being. Scrolling short-form videos. Understanding how the limbic system works, and we all know the buzzwords of dopamine, but it can be extremely damaging to finding joy and dependency for your health. Also, your focus. Boiling your pasta water with cooking oil added to it. I used to think this was a great idea until I had to clean the vent extractor above my stove and realized it was dripping with oil that had condensed and collected for months. It was very difficult to remove because regular dishwashing soap would not work. The trick turned out to be scrubbing it with baking soda and a little water to make a paste. That was a cleaning chore I never want to have to do again. Sitting is the new smoking. We are not built to sit that much. We need to move. Sincerely, a person who sits about 12 hours a day and spends the rest of it walking slowly, standing or sleeping, or with some sort of intense activity. Complaining, watching endless TV, comparisons against others. It sounds so simple and it's so easy to get into this mindset. But I think a lot of people don't realize our neurons are trained in these habits. So the more we do this, the easier it is to continue doing this. And sometimes life genuinely gives us reasons to complain. I get that. And sometimes TV marathons can be therapeutic, and sometimes it helps to benchmark our lives against others, so see how we're doing, but it shouldn't become habit. It's very risky. It's something I try to stay wary of because we can get into these habits no matter what age we are. Not stretching, every day. Not necessarily each muscle group in one go, but stretch each muscle group every day, at least 30 seconds, wherever, whenever you can. Get it in where you fit it in. Waiting for toast? Stretch your chest, shoulders, legs. Assume a horse stance. Something. Stretching is a little bit of a different kind of pain that prevents a whole lot of pain. Not wearing SPF lost my dad almost a year ago, and he was only 60. He never would wear sunscreen and didn't believe in it. Then one day he had a nasty growth pop up on his shoulder that was the size of a dime. My mom made him see a doctor, and lo and behold, skin cancer. We thought we got to it in time, but by the time he was able to have the surgery, it had grown to the size of the palm of a hand, and it was very nasty looking. Super 3D, bumpy, a million colors. Looked awful. They removed it, and then the cancer went to his spine. While they gave him aggressive chemo, the cancer found its way to his brain. His last weeks were brutal, and the way he died was something I'd never wish on anyone. It was horrendous and like something out of a horror movie. He suffered tremendously. It was about 5-ish months from the time he saw a doc about the lesion to when he died. It took him very quickly. I've always been a big sunscreen fan, and I probably put too much on my kids. Now I'm brokenhearted, missing my father, who didn't deserve to go out like that. He was a product of his time, sadly. The only way to be was golden and bronzed. But he paid the price. The opposite of negative self-talk isn't always positive self-talk. Sometimes it's just choosing not to moralize it. "I did that wrong, and will do it differently next time," is worlds away from "I did that wrong, and I'm a bad person because of it." 2. Educating yourself can make a world of difference. 3. If you find yourself feeling ashamed because you're lazy, get checked for ADHD. "If I can do it, I should, or I'm a bum," sounds like textbook executive dysfunction. A wise woman once said, "If you're wondering whether you have executive dysfunction or are just lazy, ask yourself whether you feel ashamed for not doing it." A lazy person feels good when they don't do something they should. 4. Ending negative self-talk isn't not about not thinking negatively. It's about choosing what we do when those thoughts come. I realize there's a lot of baggage in making a biblical reference, but there is some really interesting truth in the idea of taking every thought captive and making it obedient to God. If I haven't lost you yet, the point here is this: we cannot directly control our thoughts. No one can. All we can do is learn to recognize them and choose what to do with them when they come. What's really interesting about this, though, is that the act of choosing how to categorize thoughts can eventually shape the kind of thoughts we have with time. It's like James Clear says in Atomic Habits, We make a vote for the person we are becoming with every action decision. Change doesn't happen overnight, but we can choose to change the way we vote, and with time, we can see greater change than we ever might have expected. 5. Negative self-talk is not effective for learning, even if it feels like it. Daniel Kahneman's research around regression toward the mean in Thinking Fast and Slow tells it all. To begin, we must acknowledge there is endless research showing that we learn more from positive reinforcement than negative feedback. With that in mind, many people realize this pattern. If I yell at myself for doing poorly, I get better. If I praise myself for doing well, I get worse. This is, in fact, true in most cases, but it becomes obvious when we think about it. In both cases, the performance was an exception. If a student typically gets a B and they get a C, it's likely that they will do better next time whether you reprimand them or not, because they typically get Bs. The same is true in reverse. An exceptional result, whether good or bad, is, by definition, an exception. This means that regardless of feedback, the next result will likely regress toward the mean or be closer to average. All that to say, when we beat ourselves up for poor performance, we will typically do better the next time. If we encourage ourselves and celebrate an exceptional success, we'll likely be less successful the next time. The change needs to come in our acknowledgement of this principle and our treatment of ourselves as a result. When we fail, we tell ourselves, "This was out of character, and I will do better next time." And when we succeed, we should embrace it and realize we may not achieve this much next time, but it's a step in the right direction, and enough of these successes will eventually improve the bottom line. I know this is a lot, and it's likely that no one will read it, but if you do, please let me know. I've personally been on a journey with this topic for a few years, and these ideas were game changers for me. Wishing everyone the best. Please don't be too hard on yourselves. Your inner child doesn't deserve it, and you deserve better. Never had insomnia until I was 36. Had a few nasty spells brought on by overly intense marathon training, and learned very quickly how important sleep is to every aspect of life. You don't know misery until you're on week 2 of 3 to 4 shitty hours night and everything is falling apart. You're exhausted all the time, can't regulate your emotions, physically broken, you feel sick, and when it's finally time to go to sleep, your body is suddenly incapable. And that's when the mental torture really starts. It's fucking brutal, and it took me several months to really fix by developing a super strict routine. I'm now hyper aware of bad sleep and its effects and really try to head it off before it starts to compound. I seriously think a lot of people's issues can be traced back, at least in part, to chronically poor sleep. People pleasing. If you are more concerned with making sure everyone around you is happy than you are about your own well-being, it will bite you in the ass. Eventually, you will start to resent people because you will feel that they don't put in as much effort as you do, when in reality you are just doing too much. Take care of yourself, or you will not be able to truly care for others. Learn early how to set and maintain proper boundaries. Working for the wrong people and buying products from the wrong people. You are making people powerful with your labor and consumer choices. Those people are then doing things which actively harm you and others, and in fact, poison the world in ways you should be more than aware of by now. By proxy, most of you are responsible for evil. You may justify your actions, but you're scum. Vermin who sell themselves to evil men because you're pathetic. Carrying a credit card balance. $10,000 in credit card debt is about $2,000 per year going to nothing but costing you interest, and will stay there until you pay off the card. If you never use that card again and paid a $250 a month, it would take you 5.5 years to pay it off, and you would have lit on fire about $6,600. But now be at zero. If, instead, you put $250 a month from ages 20 to 30 into something simple like the last 10 years of the S&P 500 with dividends, you'd have $61,000 in savings. Credit cards are evil and wasteful. It took me some effort to realize that having high interest debt is, in itself, an emergency.